Hello and welcome to Discovering Grays Lake, unveiling the stories and people that make our town so unique. I'm your host, David Wool, and I'm thrilled to bring you this new podcast that explores fascinating stories and experiences of local business owners and community leaders, right here where we call home, Grays Lake. But before we dive in, I'd like to thank a couple very special sponsors that make this show happen. Grays Lake Rehabilitation Center is a community-based private practice physical therapy provider. Do you know they have 13 clinical providers with various levels of specialties, including orthopedics, sports, neurology, vestibular, geriatrics, pelvic floor, and aquatic? What? Did I just say they have a pool? Well, they do, and it's the largest indoor warm water pool in Lake County, featuring 2 underwater treadmills and swim currents. And recently added clinical treatment specialties, in layman's terms, shockwave. They have both radial and focus units that are the newest tool in regenerative medicine, available to everyone. They pride themselves on the most current and up-to-date specialized care to keep you moving. If you're looking for physical therapy, make sure to see our friends at Grays Lake Rehabilitation. This podcast is also brought to you by the Cashmore Financial Group. Financial advice for everyday people. Turn your financial stress into financial success. Randy and Zach Cashmore look forward to taking care of all of your financial needs. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Discovering Grays Lake. I'm sitting at my kitchen table with my old and very good friend, Dr. Luke Mudd. How are you, Luker?
Very good. How are you, David?
You know what? You're so somber tonight. We're recording in the evening, hanging out. So one of the reasons I wanted you on the show, first of all, I know you've given back to our community a ton, and at the same time, I find what you do, being a doctor, very, very interesting.
Excellent.
Do we have doctor-patient confidentiality? Is that what we call it?
Well, I really don't know how this works with being mic'd up like this.
Oh, okay. So if we're recording it, we probably don't have any confidentiality.
Probably not. So
all right. So Luke, Dr. Mudd and I went to Carmel High School together. Mm-hmm. And how long have you lived in Grays Lake?
I've lived in Grays Lake for 21 years.
21 years.
Yeah.
Wow. And you were married to a girl not from Grays. Well, she was from Mundelein.
Well, she was from actually Libertyville.
Libertyville.
And then she went. Nancy. Then she moved to Grays Lake. That's where we first lived in her place. What was the name of that? English Meadows.
English Meadows.
Yeah.
So that's when you became a Grays Laker.
That's when it began.
You're kind of a Libertyville guy, if anybody knows.
That's where I was from.
Yeah. Knows your family. You're kind of a Libertyville guy and a Carmel guy.
Yeah, pretty much. So that's us.
Yes, but he gets special privileges because I'm a Carmel guy too.
There you go.
That's right. So it's kind of funny that both you and I went to Carmel, and both our kids, your son Luke and my son Max, were both Central dudes, man.
Absolutely, that's excellent.
And one of our biggest episodes, your son was one of the captains of the baseball team, and he sat on the back porch one day, and that was one of our biggest episodes.
That's right. Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
What a run.
That was a great run.
That was a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's start here. The reason I really like to do the show is to make sure that people from Grays Lake a lot of people in Grays Lake know who you are, mm-hmm. But maybe people don't understand. A lot of people that either give back to our community, no matter what organization it might be with. So since we're talking about baseball, it is a big deal. Luke and I coached some baseball at GYBA together.
Oh, yeah.
The Bomb Squad.
Bomb Squad.
That's right, where most of those boys were from. So
Absolutely.
It's fun. Anybody that doesn't like baseball probably doesn't listen to the show anymore. But you got roped into, or decided to, you and your wife, to run the AJR tournament.
Correct.
All right, why don't you tell everybody what the AJR tournament is if they don't know?
Alex Richardson was a high school, went to Central High School, was killed in an snowmobile accident. And since then, he was an athlete in he played football, played baseball, went through GYBA and all that. Dad was a big in the GYBA board.
Yeah.
And so they dedicated this tournament after him. And
it's a big deal.
Oh, yeah, it turned out, it was a really big deal. Bryce Edwards had it before.
Yeah.
And he had the whole system set up, and then we just took it from there, and it was...
Was that voluntary, or did you actually get talked into that?
Thank you, Jeff Woods, for that. Yes, I'm going to call him out, Jeff Woods.
I could throw a rock and hit his house from here.
Absolutely. But props to Jeff Woods because he hung in the whole time he was there. So we took it over and met with his dad all the time. He was a big part of the whole process. Now they moved out to Vegas, so he doesn't get back as much.
Wow. But the tournament still goes on.
Tournament still goes on. I know they had like 48 to 50 teams this past year. Wow. So it still goes. Yeah, so it's a great tournament.
Did you do it last year?
We did not do it last year. We
you only
actually
did it on years that rained.
Yeah. Remember that rainstorm we had?
I know.
And the pictures of the guy in the canoe going through Doolittle? Yeah, that was that year.
Yeah, did you have that feel playable, though?
It was. We got to remember. Yeah, everybody came out for that. That was talk about Grays Lake community coming out for that.
I'll tell you what, if you have never coached baseball or tried to get a baseball field ready for a tournament,
yep.
You have done nothing. I used to get in so much trouble at one point when I was married, and people don't understand. You spent 8 hours on a field. We had guys out there with blow torches. We had pumps. We had everything. And we did it so 100 kids could play baseball.
Absolutely, yeah. It was a good time. And it was really cool. I mean, even just running that whole, just like running around trying to get all the fields because we used all the fields in Grays Lake.
Everywhere. Allegheny, Doolittle, JC.
Yeah. Doolittle, JC, Aquatic.
Oh, Aquatic, yeah.
And so we had use of all the fields during that time.
Wow.
And so it was a great tournament. It still is a great tournament. They've upped the ante, I guess. They had some food vendors.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because we used to do all that by ourselves. We'd have like a table with shirts and dogs or something, or even if we had
Yeah, we never got out of that role.
Yeah, we didn't get
the
that.
biggest thing we had was those bright yellow shirts, volunteer shirts.
Right. That's cool.
So
to give some honor to that. I don't think a lot of people understand what it goes if you have a kid that's playing baseball, that there's so much that goes on and so much community that actually makes that happen. And you got paid a lot of money to do that too, right?
Loads. I'm rolling in it, man.
It's called volunteering. So it's funny how you and I went to high school together, and then we reconnected through baseball with our kids playing, and that was a lot of fun. You also were besides GYBA for the AJR tournament. Mm-hmm. You had something to do with the RBC too, Rams Baseball Club.
So when we moved from AJR and we moved into RBC, when Luker and Max went into RBC, we took over that tournament as well. So we just basically transitioned.
Oh.
And we transitioned GYBA out because the GYBA board took on AJR as a whole at that point.
Gotcha.
And then I moved up to RBC and took on the 13U, 14U tournaments.
Gotcha. All right, so the most glaring question that I didn't write down that I'm pretending to read off a piece of paper right now is, you and I hung out in high school. We may have partied together. We may have not.
Oh, absolutely, we did.
We did. And then you went off to college. You went Bradley?
Bradley.
Wow,
for my undergrad.
Good.
Yep.
So Bradley undergrad, and then where?
And then I went to Loyola to get my master's in teaching. And then I went to Illinois School of Professional Psychology for my PsyD.
Wow, that's a lot of school.
It was a lot of school. It was a lot of school.
I mean, I loved it. We knew each other, but not that well. Mm-hmm. I never looked at you in high school and went, "This guy's going to be a doctor." Or did you think at some point, like, did you have a goal when we were at Carmel, like, I want to go be a psychologist?
No, I always thought about it. It was always in the area that I was thinking about.
Right. But
I went out of my undergrad. I went to work with the family business. Did that for a while. Decided that part wasn't really for me. That's when I went and got my
But that would have been an easy route, though, for you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But it just wasn't for me. I didn't like the work. So I went to get my master's in teaching.
Yep. And
then by the time I finished my master's, I was still working for the company.
Right.
It had grown, so we were able to. So I went back working for the family business. So I never.
You should see the grin on his face right now.
And then I did that for a while. Worked with my brothers, the Mudd Brothers, and then from there, I said, you know what, I want to go do my own thing, I went into construction.
What?
Yep, for about 4 years.
You didn't like the manual labor of your family business. You went into construction
on my own.
All
yes,
right.
absolutely.
Okay, on your own decision. Yeah,
correct. And then from there, I decided to go get my doctorate.
Wow.
So that's the story.
Wow, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Because you've done a lot of different jobs, and you've accomplished a lot. So first, as you get your doctorate, okay, now you're a doctor.
Yep.
What do you do? What's your first job?
So I worked in Waukegan for a parish. My dad's heavily into Catholic Church, and he was business manager at Holy Family in Waukegan. And when I graduated, we were good friends with the pastor, and he offered me a position to restructure their youth program. And when I originally reviewed it, it was like, yeah, I could give you just a program and you can run with it. He actually offered me a position to come run the youth program.
Wow.
And so the youth program was pretty big. It was anywhere from 5 years old all the way to 21. So we were
range.
Yeah. So we restructured it and ran it as a program. So that was my first. And I also saw clients.
Clients that were adults?
Parishioners.
Parishioners.
Anybody who needed it. It was 90% Latino.
Okay. And you didn't learn Spanish.
You know what? I was picking it up. By no means am I fluent in any way, shape, or form. I can understand it, but that's not my strong.
Right.
But
okay, so you're counseling them.
Yep. Which was great. So I got my feet wet with doing my own thing for a while. Then I picked up a teaching gig, an adjunct teaching gig with the Chicago School, out here at CLC at the University Center.
Yeah.
And taught in that program. From there, I picked up a full-time gig teaching at the Chicago School. Left the church and went to teach there full time.
You call it the Chicago School. Are you not allowed to say that or something?
Chicago School of Professional Psychology.
Oh, okay.
And now it's the Chicago School. It's the Professional School of Psychology at the Chicago School.
Gotcha.
So
it was very creative with their name there, the Chicago School.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we need to talk to their marketing department.
Right on.
Okay, so you're there.
So I was there. I was teaching in the counseling psychology program. And then I got picked up, and then from there I went to become the dean of academics for the school a few years later.
Huh.
Was that for about 5.5 years, and then stepped back down to be a professor in the counseling program, and been doing that, and just 4 years opened up my own practice.
Is that 4 years ago?
Yeah.
My gosh. So where's your practice at now?
It's in Mundelein. It's called Balanced Connections.
Balanced Connections.
Mm-hmm.
Is it just you? Or
just me right now.
Just you right now.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, I take that back. I apologize. I do
There's
have
no lying.
I do. Podcast. Yes, I apologize. I'm not lying. I didn't mean to this.
But at least we're not.
But I do have a friend of mine. I do have a friend of mine that does work with me.
Okay.
But she has other gigs, so she works with me periodically.
Gotcha. How many clients would you say you see a week?
I am around 4, 10, 9. I'm probably around 20 to 22, 23.
That's a lot, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I know that your schedule is very busy.
Yeah, very much.
So changing from being at the university, and then I'm sure that was a completely... I remember talking to you, like the struggle of going, how do you leave something, you got a stable, great job.
Yeah, right.
It's excellent, and then just taking off and then doing your thing. Was it a gradual thing, or did you just...
So I haven't made that separation yet. I'm still teaching at the Chicago School.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, so I'm still teaching there, and I have this practice that I'm growing.
So you see 20-plus clients a week, and you're still teaching.
Yes. Cheers.
And cheers to that as I hit the microphone with our ice waters. Wow. And you have 2 kids?
2 boys.
2 boys, and your wife at home, and you have to juggle all of this.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. That's a lot.
That keeps you busy, yeah.
Right. Is there any transition you're planning on making from like just having the practice or growing that? Do you have like a?
I would like to at some point,
Right.
and setting it up in that way. I've started to set it up that way. I would like to start hiring. I'm in a position to hire.
Right.
It's just now jumping in and doing it.
Right.
Because it is going to take up considerable more time for a little bit.
Right, and that's a big thing. And
Mm-hmm.
from anybody that's listening that's ran their own business from when you're doing it yourself, you know what? It's a shitload of work, but you have control over everything.
Right.
So the quality is there. You don't have to worry about employees. You don't have to worry about payrolls. You don't have to worry about anything else. You can take care of it yourself.
Right.
So that's tough.
Yeah.
But it's a great leap, though, if you could do that.
Oh, if I could do that and then grow the practice, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely a need. So.
Well, and everybody I've talked to that are looking for professional help for their children, especially, and adults and everything. And I know COVID, there was a huge spike of. I just hate saying the word COVID on the podcast. I'm so sick of it. I can't wait till we don't have to say it at all. But
It's part of our history, man.
It is. They're thinking about it the other day in the shower, going like, my little guy Jackson. They're going to be learning about COVID like in high school, and they're going to be like, oh, back in this term, with the big pandemic, and we lived through it.
Absolutely.
It's just strange because it'll be thought of completely differently. But during that time, a big spike in mental health, right?
Absolutely, yes.
What do you think attributed that to the most? Just being alone, not being in school, socialization. What do you think the biggest thing was?
All the above. I think
All of them?
everybody. I think.
I actually act like I was smart there for a second.
You got it. You got it. I think it was. I mean, to me, it's how the individual took it. Reading it from what they were getting inundated with all the information, and we were on information overload. We were reacting to things that were going on. Not to say that no one did anything wrong. I think everybody was reacting because there was something going on, but it turned into a whole a process of being extremely fearful.
It was a huge fear thing.
Yeah.
Huge fear base, especially media-wise.
Yeah, on many, many levels.
Right.
And so I think that impacted how people saw the world and their safety. And
Right. Yeah, and then people left their jobs with socialization where they're with somebody, 40 hours a week plus, and then they're at a desk in their basement at home with nobody around.
Well, there's stories of people that were in their homes by themselves for months at a time.
Wow.
And so those type of things happened, and it's just, it is amazing to think that.
Right. We're taking a quick break just to say hello because everybody knows Nano. And Nano knows real estate. And actually, I believe that's the name of her Instagram page. So if you're looking to buy a home, sell a home, or know somebody in the market for a home, contact Nano from Baird & Warner. She's a Grayslake girl helping out Grayslake people. I guess I kind of brush it off because I worked for myself for so long that I was always in my basement alone. So it didn't even faze me.
Didn't faze you.
Right. I was like, okay,
That's
well,
awesome.
I'm working from home. Okay,
Yep.
well, except for we couldn't go outside. We couldn't go to the grocery store.
Right.
Like things like, I'm like, oh, I got this. I've been trained for this my whole life.
Right, absolutely.
But the majority of everybody, they weren't ready for something like that.
No, I don't think at all.
No.
I don't think anybody was.
And in the mental health industry, I know that so many people that are you hear it from everybody. Everybody's looking for help, whether it's depression or whether it's something else.
So why do you think that is?
Why do I think it is?
Why do you
about
think that?
depression?
Why do you think the emergence?
Are you analyzing me right now?
No, not at all. No, I'm
Is this a
asking.
session?
No, I actually.
Why do I
love to hear
think?
it. Yeah, why do you think there has been this uptick or this progression of mental health issues?
You want me to answer it honestly?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I
keep saying absolutely.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I say all kinds of things all the time, and I go back and I want to edit out my words. I think it's isolation. I would say during that time it was isolation. I think it's lack of... but I also think a lot of the same things came in... Like, we were going through a time, and this is just merely my opinion, we're going through a time, especially with our children, that with our children, they were already, like, on their phones, on their Xboxes. They were basically isolated as well, and the way they socialized with each other was not in person at all.
True.
And then you add COVID into that, and then these kids were homeschooled or on Zoom or whatever they had to do. There was no interaction with people, and I think interaction with people brings just sitting across from you, like there's an energy that you have when you talk to people, and when you're able to communicate in person, and you take that away for a long time. It's huge. And then you add people dying in hospitals where they couldn't even see their loved ones pass. Correct. And they couldn't be in the room with them. I think there were so many traumatic things that people have this trauma about through everything. It changed I think it changed everything.
Right. I would fully agree.
Yeah. Am I close in my opinion?
Oh,
I think. Yeah.
It's your opinion, man. I completely see it, and I agree. Isolation really locked us all in, and it focused us inward. And I agree that we by nature we want to belong, we want to connect.
Yeah.
Okay, we want to have those balanced connections.
Balanced connections.
Okay, right on.
I'm on the line. If I had the phone number, I'd give it to you right now.
But it's that isolation. Through that isolation, it made us look inward. It made us all focus inward. Okay, so the first probably couple of days, everybody's like, "Okay, this is pretty cool," but then you got to see where you are with everybody else.
Right.
So it's that idea of belongingness, that idea of connectedness.
Belonging, and as you know, that with the movie I'm doing and everything is the
addiction.
My guy said the opposite of addiction is connection.
Absolutely.
And that same guy, Johann Hari, talks about depression, and without connection, you can't get out of it. And you sit people long enough by themselves, they get in their own head.
Right. Absolutely. And they get in their own head, and that's not a good place for for people to stay.
Is that why people are seeking so much more professional help, like over the last couple of years?
I think that could be impacting it, but I also think mental health, the stigma of mental health has changed.
More of an open thing.
Yes, people are talking about it. People are open. People are engaging with it.
I think it's changed from people talk about like, oh my God, you're seeing a therapist, to I've heard people just recently say everybody should have a therapist. Like they talk about it openly. Like, I think everybody needs somebody to talk to.
Right, and I agree. Yeah,
and they really do.
That too. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a need. It goes down to our baseline. Okay, of wanting to belong.
Right.
Wanting that connectedness. So related to your idea about why the impact of the pandemic relates directly to that.
And it does. And it's funny to see, especially because we had high schoolers through this. I think our kids were ready to. We were so excited for baseball. Not to go back to baseball, but I think the day before freshman year baseball, the day before they were supposed to set foot on the field, they shut the shit down.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was it, and they missed their freshman year of high school.
Right.
And academically, and through everything, I don't know who's. You can argue about who's in charge of what, but I mean, these kids that are going to college or taking their ACT or their SAT, being in that year of school had to put everybody back. I mean, from a kindergartner to a freshman in high school.
It did, because none of us. I mean, we weren't. No one was ready for it. So it slowed that process down. Absolutely. I think it also. Think of their development at that when they're starting to talk about connections, talk about identity development at.
Right.
And so you isolate them, that's where you see this draw. So not only from an educational, but from just a personal identity development model, you start to see this. But I think overall, I think people have fared well. There's definitely those out there that have not, absolutely out there that do struggle with it. And it's interesting. I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting to see the impact that.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Who do you think was impacted the most? Is it the youth? Is it the teen years? Was it adults? Do you see it impact like a certain age group the most?
You talking mentally?
Yeah.
I don't have any research on this. I don't have any basis for this.
In your opinion,
in my opinion, yeah. In my opinion, I would think that children are definitely affected and impacted, and because they were the most, just in natural development.
Yeah.
So that is when they're absorbing the information. They're creating the image of the world that they live in, type thing. Right. You and I we went through. Our image of the world was built in our teenage years, and I was like, whoa, okay.
This is how it is.
This is how it is. So our brain is fully developed, and we're moving forward. And kids around that age, or kids younger, it was all about that impact that the world was having on them.
And it had to instill a big fear in them, too. Like, depending on who their parents are and how they approached it, talking to them. Like, it had to be a huge thing, if mom and dad are total freaks, like, oh my God, the world is ending.
Right.
And they went through that at a very impressionable time of their life. Like, it's going to affect them forever, that something bad like this could happen.
Think of the impact it would have on a child. What type of impact do you think that would have?
I got 3 of them in my house.
Okay.
Yeah.
But how did you, we don't have to get into it, but.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to talk about it.
Your approach to COVID. What was your approach to COVID?
Oh, I'm an easygoing guy. Everything's going to be fine.
Everything's
going to be fine. We're going to be good. We have food. We have toilet paper. If we don't, we'll find a way.
So your kids saw that.
They saw the calm, cool, relax. We're going to be fine.
And that is a security for them.
Right.
Okay, so not to say that they weren't affected by the grandeur of everything, but at least at home, you created a sense of, hey, it's okay. We'll get through this.
But I'm also a lot more chill than the average person. Like,
sure.
Think about people that are freaks about it. Like, that it had to be big.
Yep.
And these people probably still live in fear. And I know there's a lot of adults that live in fear of it. Because it was a serious thing. I'm not playing anything down at all.
Yep.
Obviously, a very serious thing. But life goes on, and shit happens. And if we're all going to die tomorrow, we die tomorrow.
Right.
So let's have fun today.
It's a model for life, brother. Model for life.
Not everybody lives my life, though. I do my best that I can.
That's the way to be.
So with that all being said, and we'll get off the whole the COVID kind of thing, but I wanted to address the whole, like, your opinion on the whole, like, because there's a lot of people trying to get in. I've had friends say, hey, my son's depressed. He needs to get in to see just someone to talk to, and they're like, it's 6 months out.
Mm-hmm.
So
there are, right now do you want to call it a shortage or whatever we want?
Well, there's a shortage in everything.
Yeah, right. So yes, I think the best advice is to go online, look up as many therapists as you can. The relationship you have with your therapist is key. It is all about that relationship. Not to say that you walk in and you can't have a great connection right away, and that's awesome. But sometimes you have to...
or a balanced connection.
Correct. There you go. Thank you. Well, you're in marketing, aren't
and
you?
that phone number is? Sorry, me and you should not be sitting down talking. I get you off track, and you get me off track. But yeah, with your connection with your therapist, having a good connection.
The relationship you have with your therapist is key. You have to be able to trust. It's an alliance. It's an agreement between the patient, the client, and the therapist. And that agreement is really the vehicle that helps the individual face what they're facing.
Right.
And or engage with what they want to do and make those changes. So it's really important to connect with your therapist. But as I was saying, it doesn't have to be, oh, great, this is wonderful right off the bat. It does take some work through that.
Right.
So you got to be patient.
I think that's encouraging to people. Maybe if you see one therapist and you don't have a connection with him. I've been to a therapist and I was like, what the hell am I doing here? Mm-hmm. I had one lady tell me, she's like, you got your shit together. You know everything that's wrong with you. And I looked at her and I went, well, apparently not, because I'm sitting here. Like, right, dealing with death, dealing with relationship things, dealing with everything you have to do. I was like, well, this lady's out because there
wasn't that connection. There wasn't that bond.
Right.
And that's okay. It doesn't mean that she's a bad therapist or that. It has to do with that fit.
Yeah.
Which is extremely important when the client is tasked to being to look at themselves.
Right. So what ages do you see?
I will stay to early adulthood and on up. I will work with some adolescents, not a lot though.
Yeah.
Not that anything's wrong with it. That's not my forte.
Right. So if somebody needed help right now, and they wanted to get in, do you have any availability? Can they call? Can they? I know it's a terrible question.
That's why I'm not giving.
We're not promoting your business right now.
No, but I am fully booked.
Wow.
I mean, and I could be booked. I mean, I could drop a day of very quickly, and I could line them back up with new clients.
Wow.
The need is out there. The need is definitely there.
Well, on the other hand, maybe people finally are seeing the value in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
To enrich their lives or to make themselves a better person to themselves, or a better parent, or a better husband, better wife.
And that revolves right back to, I think, the stigma of mental health is now being talked about.
Right.
People are willing to say, hey, I want to sharpen that up a little bit. Okay?
Oh.
Maybe I'm not fully depressed or something like that, but I want to understand why I'm doing what I'm doing.
What's the most fulfilling part of your job?
The movement you see with clients when they have aha moments.
Right.
What's really cool on a personal level is when the clients come back and say, hey, you said to me a couple sessions back, and they reword what you said.
Right.
And you're like, first of all, you're like, I said that?
I'm pretty smart.
Well, I sound pretty good. No, but it's actually really cool because when they say it, that means that they're listening, and it meant something to them enough that it affected how they saw what they were going through or dealing with. So,
interesting.
Yeah.
The people that you see, is it their choice to come there?
Yes.
It is their choice. So you deal with all people that say, hey, I need help with this. Okay.
Absolutely.
When you started your practice, now it's been 4 years. How long did it take you, because those 4 years, how long did it take you to get booked, like completely?
Right. So actually, I opened my doors the January of COVID.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Perfect timing.
Oh, yeah. Well, it was weird because, in a lot of ways, because I was seeing clients. I had a number of clients that first month that it started to build pretty quickly. And then COVID hit. And so my numbers, I was getting calls, not heavily at that time, but within a week I started getting calls.
How'd they find you? Did they just go on Google and they were calling everybody?
Yeah, if you go on Find a Therapist, just go on and say Find a Therapist. It'll take you to Psychology Today. A lot of therapists advertise themselves. That's where I'm advertised at. And so I was getting calls, and they were, can you see somebody in person? Can you see? And I'm like, well, right now, no, but because it's so new.
Right.
But let's see where this goes. I'd be happy to come in and so I did that I saw people through Zoom for a number of my clients for a couple weeks.
Oh, so you did do the Zoom stuff. You did do
for a little bit, just because it was in that was really when COVID was new and no one knew what was going on really.
Right.
And then some of my clients, I felt, and this is me, I felt some of my clients needed that face-to-face.
Oh, I'm sure. If they're missing connection, how do you meet with a therapist and get the connection that you have like we're having right now, face-to-face?
Correct. And so every once in a while I would see people face-to-face. I created the distance, so my office was rather long, and I did, not overly, but it's distance enough that it was 10 feet away from each other, or 8 to 10 feet away from each other. They didn't open any. So we had a protocol for that, but they were able to come in, and I think people did appreciate that.
Yeah.
And then by was it March? Yeah, right around March.
Yeah.
So it had to have been right around end of April. I just said, fine, I'll see everybody face to face.
Wow.
And everybody jumped in. And in fact, I got a number of clients called up and said, do you see face to face? And I'm like, yep. This is the protocol. And then
and they wanted to get in.
I never had anybody. I mean, I had one individual, and that was because of her situation that I couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, everybody else went.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It's fun to see how things evolve, and like with you starting your business like that, you really couldn't have started at a better time. It's like a snowplow guy, and you didn't know it was going to snow like 12 inches every single day, and then it did.
Yeah, and then it did. Yeah.
All right, this seems like a place for us to break here just for a second. So I like to take a chance to thank our sponsor, Chris from Barbecue Productions. And if you've listened to the show, I think you've admittedly, how many shows have you listened to?
This will be 3.
You've listened to 3. 3 out of 24. Good job.
Hey, it's not bad.
Glad you're a good friend.
I've heard some of those ask that they've never even heard of it.
True.
So I'm doing pretty good on my end.
I bet they listen to their own.
I bet you they
did, and then they're like, "What the hell did I say on there? And why did I say that?"
That's what I'm a little nervous for when I hear this one.
Right. And Chris at Barbecue Productions, I think he just listened. Maybe he didn't even listen to one. I was like, "I don't have time for this." That's why I love him. He's this section is brought to you by Barbecue Productions. We call this the Grays Lake Hot Seat, and I keep promising I'm going to change all these things up, but then things happen. You get a detached retina, things happen, and you move on. Right. We just do the best we can. So I'm gonna go from bottom to top on this one, just to make it fun. So some of these I probably know that maybe I don't. So Dr. Mode, what's your favorite band?
Huge Chris Cornell fan.
Really?
Yeah.
I would never do blank again. We only get one for this though.
I would never. What would I never do? That's a good question.
It is.
Can I tell you a quick story to add?
Yeah, I'd love it. That's actually the reason I do it.
So a year ago.
Yep.
I told you I was in construction.
Yes.
A year ago, I needed my roof done.
Oh.
Okay. So lo and behold, my ego got ahead of me, and I decided to.
Oh, you could do it yourself.
Yep. So I got up on my 2-story roof, and I ripped it. I ripped all the shingles off, and I was going to go ahead and say, understand how to do that. No.
What?
Well, I got up there, and ripping it off was no big deal. But it was when I got up there, I was like, whoa, this is pretty high. But then when I cleared off all the shingles and I started trying to lay the underlayment, I was like, yeah, this is really high. And so that's when I was in my 20s, that was no big deal. I mean, I could sit and dance. Now, no way. So I was up there, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing this anymore. So I will never roof my house again.
Okay, did you stop or did you finish?
No, I actually stopped, and I hired a company.
And
they were great. They came in, and he came in that day and said, yeah, I got a crew coming over, and they can come over.
So you just did all the manual labor, the hard stuff.
Yeah, I did. And they were great with it. They were like, oh, yeah. They did it in a day and a half. They finished out. I was like, yep, all right, hold on.
All right, so don't do your own roof. People out there, straight from a doctor. What's the last thing you purchased on Amazon?
Amazon. Oh, dog ear cleaner for my dog.
Luke is a dog guy, so I don't need to ask the dog or cat question too, right?
Absolutely.
Name a celebrity that you've met.
So can I tell that?
Yeah, I want to hear it. It's story time.
It's story time. So I was in. This goes back. It has to go back 30 years ago. Don't quote me on that time, but around there. I'm at a friend of the family's wedding.
All right.
And I'm up at the bar.
No.
I was 19, so I was up at the bar.
Of course.
I was up at the bar, and this guy comes walking up and goes, hey, how are you? And I look over, and it's this shorter guy, heavier set, real nice, blonde hair, younger, like he was older than I was. I think he's, I don't know, but real nice guy. He's like, hey, how you doing? I'm like, good. How you doing? He goes, you know, who you know? And I'm like, oh, we're here with the bride, and just who you here? Just talk to him. And he looked at me, he goes, you don't know who I am. And this is how he did it. He was standing there, his hands were in his pocket. I'll never forget this. Hands were in his pocket, and he looks at me, you don't know who I am? I'm like, sorry, man. And I walked away. didn't think
You didn't ask him,
of
like,
it.
so who are you?
No, because I was talking to him and I had the drinks and I had a drink to go
Right.
to the table. So I literally was just like, no, man, sorry. Like, I thought like this guy was just like, you don't know who I am?
Right.
So I go sit down and I sit down next to my brother. And I'm like, yeah, some dude was like, hey, you stand up there. He goes, you don't know who I am? And he goes, who is it? And I pointed over. He goes, do you know who that guy is? I'm like, no. He goes, that's Chris Farley.
Shut the
No.
front door.
Yeah, it was Chris Farley when he was just started Saturday Night Live.
Really?
Yeah, and I was like, because I wasn't watching the big Saturday Night Live guy, so
Right. We
Didn't
were doing
know-
things on Saturday night.
right, exactly.
We were doing them live.
But he said, yeah, that's Chris Farley, and I'm like, okay, who's Chris Farley?
Awesome.
And I was like, no way. And so that's my claim to fame there.
That's awesome. The best thing is you didn't know.
No idea.
You
I was
were
like,
so starstruck.
I was clueless.
You didn't know.
Exactly. That's
Fucking
exactly
idea.
what it was.
All right. What is your favorite book?
Ooh, I really like *Sapiens* by Yuval Harari.
I don't know that.
And he also has another book, 21 Lessons for the 21st Century. He's an anthropologist, psychologist. That just his perspective. He's got an amazing perspective on history and how we came to be and how civilization has grown and all that kind of
Wow. I'm glad you answered that. I actually had one person write in and say thanks for asking the favorite book question because they picked up a book that somebody had said and they said they read it and it was now one of their favorite books.
Oh, really?
So he's a doctor and he knows how to read. What do you have on your pizza?
What do I have? I would say I used to love onions and peppers.
Used to.
Used to. I don't have a gut for that anymore.
Right, we're getting older.
Yes, we are. So I would say I'm a pepperoni fan.
How many texts do you send a day? I can tell you how many you answer. It's frickin' 0.
As few as possible.
Right.
I would say on average,
You're going to be the lowest.
yeah, 10 maybe.
Wow.
I'm trying.
And then how many of those are to your wife or your family? Those are
7.
right. And then so if you're texting, if you're a friend of Luke's and you're trying to text him, it's just not going to work.
Yeah.
I texted you tonight 2 times and then I picked up the phone and called you and they're like, oh yeah, well yeah.
Sorry,
of
I
course.
didn't have my phone right next to
Sorry,
me.
I'm sick of talking to people. What is your guilty pleasure?
That's a loaded question.
His face is red.
I don't know. I like smoking a little bit here and there.
All right. Apple or Android?
Apple.
Toilet paper, do you roll it over or under?
What's
On top?
Yeah.
Yeah, on top. That's the best way. And my favorite one, and everybody's probably really sick of this, is how many days a week, or how many, oh my gosh, how many days can you wear the same pair of jeans without washing them?
Oh, without washing it?
Without washing them. You can wear, how many times can you wear them without washing them?
Does it have to be in a row?
No. If you take them up, you put them on your floor or whatever.
Yeah, I'll
fold
take them up, I'll fold them up.
Yeah,
Oh, I'll go, as long as I don't get, like, nasty stuff on them.
right.
6-7 days.
I
Wearing times, I guess?
Right.
As long as they're not nasty.
Right. I wear them until they are so stretched out that you have to dry them enough so they fit.
To fit again?
Yeah, because they stretch out a while. Does your car have a nickname?
Yeah. Yeah. Fucking piece of shit. But it is.
I'm not sure that's a nickname. That may be a explanation. Yeah, mine's called Mr. Squeaks, by the way.
Mixed.
Mr. Squeaks.
Does it squeak?
Oh, it squeaks like hell. Yeah. The back left, it squeaks, but I have 177,000 miles on it. Runs like a charm, but it squeaks.
Yeah. Now it's like, now we're all on this idea, like, how many miles can we get out of our cars?
I want 200,000, or else I don't. I'm not getting rid of it till I get 200,000 on it.
Yep.
Because why would you? I don't know. I'm just at that age where I'm not going to spend $70,000 on a new car when mine runs fine.
I have a 2011 Suburban, $190,000 on it, and it's going to go to $300,000.
300,000. See, at least you have your vision is bigger than mine. I guess. Let's see. What are we going on here? What's your biggest fear? Do you have a biggest fear? Don't analyze yourself.
No, I'm not. How do you say it? I mean, it has to do with my family.
Yeah.
Like pain for my family. Does that make sense?
It makes complete sense.
Yeah.
Yes, and
I'll take pain, but pain on my family I don't like.
Right. I agree. Selfless, and we make sure they're okay, but sometimes we can neglect ourselves to make sure that they don't have to do that. Now, looking at your face, how often do you shave? If you see his picture on this podcast, you'll probably figure that one out. Do you have to shave that thing? Do you trim it down?
I trim it down. I've had this for. Well, I've had this.
I can't remember the last time I've seen you clean shaven.
I've had a goatee when I got out of college, so that goes back to whatever 94.
Yeah, and you've had a beard since?
I've had a goatee since college, but then I didn't have the beard until probably around 2000. Around 2008, 2000. I started growing in.
Wow.
Maybe a little earlier.
I still don't understand how to have a beard like. Maybe I'm not cool enough or manly enough to have a beard like that. But if I let it grow for long enough,
it takes a while. You gotta let. I mean, you gotta grow this out. You gotta let it grow out.
I would say I'm in a transitionary stage.
There you go.
I get the wisdom beard. It's turning white. What makes you sweaty?
That's a fucking question.
That's a great question.
It really is. What makes me...
Just think about me actually writing that question down. That actually makes me sweaty. Is how I ever even wrote that down. What kind of screwed up my...
Oh, absolutely. We go down so many directions with that.
You don't have to answer it. You can pass if you have to. I'm laughing so hard that I'm trying to open up my phone back and it doesn't recognize my face. just so you know.
That's hilarious.
So are we skipping what makes you sweaty? That's fine.
I'll come back to it.
All right. How many times do you exercise a week?
What do you consider exercise?
Okay, so we're going to go with 0. Pool or ocean?
Ocean.
Sunrise or sunset?
Depends.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's fine. Have you ever won an award? It's kind of a fun question. I like this one.
Have I ever won an award?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so? And I always think of that when I always think about the baseball trophies when we coach. I'm like, yeah, I got a ton of awards. We won all these things.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, sure.
But we were coaches. We didn't win them. Do you have a go-to karaoke song? If you had to do if we karaoke right now, you have to do one. Gun to your head, you got to do a karaoke song. What is it?
Oh, that's a good question.
He doesn't do karaoke.
No, I mean,
gun to your head though. You got to do it right now.
I go back to high school when we did street scenes.
Yeah.
So every rose has its thorn.
All right. Good. Last show you binge watched. Have you binge watched the show lately?
Yeah. Last show we binge watched would have been. Oh, so Nancy and I get into these documentaries.
Yeah.
These like the series documentaries that have like 4 or 5 parts.
Yeah.
We just watched the Murdoch ones, the Murdoch murders, which is interesting.
Crazy ass trippy show,
Seriously,
man.
on so many levels.
Really.
That's a whole nother level. That play field is.
I feel so much better after watching stuff like that myself. Like I watch it going, shaking my head, still going, no.
Yeah.
Highest score in bowling. You look like you might bowl every once in a while.
No,
got a little Lebowski going on.
I'm definitely not the big. In high school, I think I hit a 210 once.
Wow, that's awesome. Favorite sports team? People have changed their answer this year.
Yeah, that's where I was slowly saying that. I'll say the Cubs.
All right, that's good. We'll end with this one. Hey, bartender, can I have a...
Captain and Coke.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was my go-to for a long time, Captain
Yeah,
Coke.
me too. I used to smoke and drink Captain and Cokes, and then the next morning when I'd be hungover, I'd like, well, if I smoke a pack of cigarettes and I had 10 Cokes, I'd still be hungover without the alcohol.
Absolutely.
I mean, you load your body with that much sugar and like do everything. Yeah. You're screwed.
So I got on that kick for like the Diet Coke, Captain and Diet Coke,
right.
And then a buddy of ours, Mick,
yeah,
he introduced me to Captain Clear.
Oh yeah,
clear or silver.
Yeah, you could sneak that into places in a Sprite bottle, by the way.
Oh yeah, it's
very easily.
Oh, it's perfect.
Not that we're condoning that.
Nope, not at all.
But if you're an adult and you would like to sneak something in, I mean, I do vodka.
Oh, Amazon sells these little pouches.
Really?
They have they're like little, those squeezables, kids squeezables. They have the little thing.
Yeah.
Well, they sell them and they're clear. Okay, and they're about 6 inches high.
Yeah.
And friends of ours introduced us to them.
Oh, I bet you I know who those friends are.
He used to be big in the Mundelein Police Department.
Oh.
Yeah,
I have no idea. I don't know anybody that used to work there, or did work there, or does work there. I have no idea who they are.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Okay, so that's the end. That's the end of. Thanks to Barbecue Productions, we appreciate you guys, big time for helping us out. All right, so let's do this. I want to, because of what you do. So we're not advertising your business, but if you'd like to look up, and if there's a chance to get on a waiting list or anything, they can look on Balance Connections. And you're in Mundelein? Is that right?
In Mundelein, yep. Right around...
How do you end up in Mundelein?
Do you know the chiropractor Schaffernack?
I do not know them.
Will Schaffernack, he's been in Mundelein for a while, and they have a place. He was working on my dad for a while.
Yeah.
And they were in small talk about it. He was working on my dad, and he said he had an office. And so my dad called me up right around the time I was looking.
Yeah.
And he says, hey, I got my chiropractor's looking for, he's got an office. Went and met him. Awesome people. Great people. And their business is Life Force. And so they're chiropractor. We have a PT that works there as well.
Oh.
We have a yoga instructor.
Really?
Holds yoga classes. We have a masseuse.
Wow.
And so they're trying to diversify that whole area. So
wow, that's cool. It's nice to have things like that together. We can work together like that too.
Absolutely.
Tell me before we wrap up here, I want to know, because you've lived in town for so long, you've lived in different communities, obviously. What is the draw? What is the coolest thing I've lived here my whole life, but what is the coolest thing? Because I know that I've heard you tell people, like, I live in Grays Lake, and you say it with pride.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I love Grays Lake.
What is like your favorite thing about living here?
It's got like it sounds like a cliche, I guess, but it's that small town feel. Mm-hmm. But with the people being so open and engaging, I mean, the people here are nice. They're open. I mean, go to some of the festivals. And everybody here. I mean, it just seems to me like a very cool, relaxed community that really is open to.
I argue with people all the time because I really think our town's different.
Okay.
I mean, I go and hang out, and I'm not bashing any other town, but whether you hang out in Libertyville, where you hang out in Vernon Hills, or Lake Forest, or wherever you hang out, our town has something about it. It has like the cool, like we're not like a northern, like we're not in a Wisconsin kind of thing, but we're not bougie or.
No.
Some people live here, they think they're bougie, and you're not if you live in Grays Lake. I mean, or you can act like it, but they just seem like really nice people, like the majority of the people you meet. Like they're good middle class
hometown people that care about their community.
Yeah, and you really see people take pride in this town.
Oh,
the way they come out and support, no matter what it is.
Yeah,
they're out supporting.
Go back to that flood. I go back to that flood. That was. I will tell you. I mean, I will never. That is one memory that don't think I'll ever forget. Seeing all those people show up when we just had put the call out, and everybody came out.
And it was for baseball.
Right.
I mean, are you kidding me?
And think about what we were facing too. I mean, we were flooded, so people were going out and we all got into like, how do we do this? And we focused on one. We focused on aquatic first. We got aquatic up and running because it was a whole process that we went through.
And who's got the right shit to pull it off?
And we pulled it off. We had the AJR tournament, and we had a full tournament that year. The teams that were in it were great.
How many phone calls did you get to saying, "Are we canceling?"
Oh,
and you guys are like, "No, we're on. We're on."
Yeah, we said. Well, I said I kept them abreast. I was in communication with the coaches at all times, and I would call them and say, "Okay, so this is the story." So I would call them pretty much on a half hour for a while. Like, "Hey, this is the story. This is what we're doing. Give me some time." And so we'd go back. I talked to guys. Are we going to be able to? When can you give me a field? When can you get me a field?
Because these people aren't coming from really close either. That's a big tournament.
Yeah.
People are traveling from pretty far.
Right. So we were giving them, and so we just set it out, kept setting it out, and when we started with aquatic and got aggressive with that. We hit aquatic. That was really cool.
And then community, man.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. And so that's what not just that experience, but that's like a big experience, but it really says what the Heart of Grace Lake's about.
If you had to have one drink right now, if I said, "Hey, Luke, me and you are going out for a Captain Coke, or we're going out for a Bullet right now, where are we going?" Where would you say?
I'd probably say, right the first bet would be Charlie's.
Yeah. Or you're a Charlie's kind of guy?
Charlie's, Emil's. Any of those guys. I mean, I ain't picky. Really, as long as it's got a...
You're sitting in my house, apparently you're not.
Yeah, really. I'm okay with that.
No, and it's cool, because I think that's the thing about our whole, like, people say we're great. It's like, oh, yeah, you guys got, so many bars on, like, 2 blocks. Our downtown is literally, 3 blocks? Right. 2.5 blocks, maybe?
Right.
Yeah, unless you go outside of that, but our downtown is...
Downtown, yeah, it's small.
And, everything is happening.
Mm-hmm.
You know what the other thing that impresses me, and I think you'll know this because you know so many of the people that are on our chamber, that are on all these boards, that ever do thing. And at first, I didn't want to interview people that were part of, like, any kind of governmental agency of whatever. And my whole perception of everything is fucking changed like crazy. Can I swear in here?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Go for it.
No, but it's completely changed because these people care more about anything than I thought I was going to do. These stuffy, like, whatever. And a couple other interviews that I already have done that are going to release even later than this. It's like, wow. Like, they're doing it because they care. Mm-hmm. They're not doing it for any status or for anything. I mean, our friend Bill Cornett's a trustee.
Absolutely.
I mean, come on.
Gotta love him.
I mean, exactly. We got to throw, because Cornett listens to. You ask Bill Cornett. Bill Cornett may be the only person in Grays Lake, and if he's not, you please write on this thing that he listens to every show, and then he follows up and he gives me his. He'll give me the review on the show.
Very cool.
So if you'd like to know any Bill Cornett
I can't
reviews,
wait to
go to
read
Bill Cornett,
this one,
Grays
Billy.
Lake PodcastReviews.com and go see him. Yeah, his review on this one, because we haven't given him a shout. And he's never gotten a shout out on here, I don't think.
Well, absolutely, Billy.
I think Billy should run for mayor of Grays Lake. What do you think about that?
I'll back him.
I'll give him my endorsement.
There you go.
For whatever mine's worth. Mine means nothing at all. But yeah, so we got to give Cornett a shout out, at least because he listens all the time. We have a couple other really faithful listeners, and right now I'd also like to thank everybody that tunes into the show, especially when you don't know who somebody is. I think that's the coolest thing, because we're trying to build community. I'm also trying to talk to a couple older Grays Lake residents that have been here forever, that have stories of Grays Lake, and I really encourage everybody, when you see a new episode pop up, listen to it, because we got some really freaking cool people in this town.
We really do. We really do. I gotta give you that.
We really do. We have some really strange people in this town too.
That's what makes it interesting.
And I'm going after them. So if you have somebody strange or interesting, make sure to write down, because I would love to know them, because I think that we should probably talk to them.
Yep.
All right. Anything else you want? Anything else? I think
when are you going to interview Scott?
Scott Schimpf?
Yep.
See, now we just interviewed Nikki Schimpf at their new salon. It's Monterey.
Monterey, yeah.
Monterey, yeah. So they have their new business in town. I actually wanted to go through the downtown and see if I can get everybody on one side, and I just want to put QR codes on everybody's signs that we've interviewed. We start at the Vine, just move all the way down.
Well, that's
move
awesome.
Move our way to the other side and just talk to everybody.
That would be cool.
But there's only so much time in the day. And we're putting this out once a week, so I think this is going to be like right around our 25th, 26th episode, maybe a little bit more than that. But yeah, the community's been great.
Awesome.
They've been good to me. I haven't had anybody give me the finger on the road yet. So, but
not in front of you, at least.
No, I have not. And we only have 7, 1-star reviews. So I think we're doing.
You got the stars, baby.
I got as long
That's
as you
what
got
it's
the
about.
star. So Dr. Mudd at Balance Connections, in Mundelein. And yes, his business is in Mundelein, but he's been here for a long time and he's given back to the community. So if you got a problem with it, I don't know what you're going to do about it. I don't care. Call me. Don't listen.
Forget about it.
Forget about it. But everybody, please make sure that I always say at the end of everything, make sure whether you're listening on Apple, whether you're listening on Spotify, wherever you're listening, if it's even on YouTube, it's just audio version. But whatever you're listening, make sure you subscribe so that every time a new episode comes out that you get notified on your phone, because I know you're on your phone all the time, so you don't have a reason not to listen. And as Nana would say, that this is a great thing to listen to on your Tuesday morning walk. So she says she gets more steps in the longer the episode is. So if it's a longer, she may get 11,000 steps on this one. But really appreciate everybody. Yes, exactly. So subscribe. If you need professional help, make sure that you talk to people. And I'm sure that if you see Luke around anywhere, he'd be happy to help you out or lead you in the right direction. But guys, make sure just take care of yourselves out there, right? Mm-hmm. Take care of yourself. Take care of your kids. And
absolutely.
Don't be afraid to reach out if you need help.
Yep.
All right, I need help. We're going to get off this. We're going to have our own counseling session. All right. Peace out, Grace Lake.